I am Olatunbosun Alao. I have with me my beautiful colleague. Good morning.
Good morning, Olatunbosun. Good morning to Nigerians, all your state residents, and wherever you are listening to us from. This is Erie 96.1 FM, and this is the first dose of the morning rush for today. We will be keeping you updated, like Olatunbosun rightly said. So this is the first dose.
Yes.
Subsequently, we have our news bulletin to keep you updated. I am Oluwaseun Ogunrotimi. Like I say, it's always a pleasure to know that you are there, just as we are here for you. And we have some papers right here in front of us for your listening pleasure. We have the Daily Independent newspaper, The Nation, The Punch, The Guardian newspaper, Vanguard is here, as well as Daily Trust. And now the full segment of the morning rush, we tell you stories that made the front page of these newspapers. Later on, we go into these newspapers and give you stories in the newspapers. Okay, before we get started, let me allow us to it's good to know that you can be part of the conversation. It's not just a one-way street. You also can call in 090-5696-9961. Another avenue to reach out to us and just let us know what is happening in your community and what you think about what is happening in your life right there. Our Facebook handle is Erie 96.1 FM Ibadan. Just type at Erie 96.1 FM Ibadan, and then you can drop your comments. So let's start.
All right, at this point in time, we need to kickstart with the headlines making the round this morning on the front pages of our dailies. We have couples of dailies, just like Chiu, as earlier said. Do not be offended, Chiu. I think you only want Chiu. Let's kickstart from your own hand.
Okay, I will be starting with the Daily Independent newspaper. Now, on its front page, it's quite packed, but I will do justice to it. The first one I'm taking off the front page says, Court bars Rivers CJ Chief Justice from accepting pro-Wike lawmakers' resolutions. That's on the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper. And moving away from that to party politics, APC has done well. Current situation is global, says party governors. You want to agree or disagree? Do well to call in when the time is right. Okay, federal government rolls out measures to crash high food prices. The writer says suspend taxes on importation of food commodities. Another one says to import 250 metric tons of wheat, 250 metric tons of maize. Do well to pick a copy of the Independent newspaper. Now to page 7 of the paper, it says residents groan as fuel scarcity persists in Abuja, Lagos, and NNPC blame logistics challenges. Front page of the Daily Independent, the final one I'm going to be taking says no tenure. You have on the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper. But before, don't just run which these headlines were made so that you have a
page 4 of the Nation newspaper this beautiful morning. On politics, Rivers crisis deepens. It has 3 riders. Amawile-led lawmakers issued governor 7-day ultimatum. The second rider says Fubara inaugurates EXCO member cleared by Okojumbo and 2 others. The last rider under that story says court bar CJ clerk from deal away from that. Contractors get 3 months to fix 260 federal government road project. It's on page 5. Lagos accounts for 104 out of 113 cholera cases in 1 week. It's on page 5 of the Nation News. Economic Financial Crimes Commission quizzes Ethiopian airline seat. It on page 3. Ondo shift council pool indefinitely. It's on page 5.
On its front page, these are the stories. 2023 budget performance outlook. Unfunded deficit hit 1 trillion naira in 9 months, worsens federal government's fiscal position. And there is a stat showing the debt services, the recurrent expenditure, capital expenditure, revenue, and fiscal deficit. You want to know what the statistics says? Do well to pick a copy of the Guardian newspaper. Ex-generals tax federal government on new wage demand, quotes in governor's course to avert crisis. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper for this morning. And fair over illicit flow to banks as shareholders struggle with right issues. That's on business page 15 of the Guardian newspaper. Obi urges anti-graft agencies to focus on grand theft. That's on page 4. And on page 7, EEDC to refund 11.8 billion naira to Southeast customers. That's on page 7. And student loan, NAS gives tertiary institutions 48 hours to submit data. That's on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. To page 4, a trending report. A man climbs mast to protest economic hardship in Abuja. That trended yesterday. You want to know details on why this man had to go to that length? Do well to flip over to page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Federal government approves 150-day duty-free window for imports of selected food. Well, that's the very much there is on the front page of the Guardian newspaper for this morning. Just do well to pick a copy to know the content and the context of these headlines.
The next newspaper we shall be looking into this morning is The Punch. On the front page of The Punch, it says, Federal government suspends food imports duty. Partner states on farming. It has two riders. It says government launches 5 months duty-free import window for maize, rice, wheat, others morning. Q spread as petrol eats 1,100 naira per litre in Abuja and others. Marketers are waiting product from NNPC says Petron. This can be found on page 29. Naira weakens to 1,523 naira per dollar at official markets. This can be found on page 21 as on business and economy. Human rights, democracy, economic growth, key issues in Samoa agreement. This can be found on page 2. Away from that, moving straight to politics. Fubara, court bars River CJ from accepting impeachment notice. It on page 29. Local airlines projects 980 naira per litre aviation fuel meets Dangote. It's fuel 33 in Ukraine children hospital. It's on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. And that's all I have on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Do not go anywhere. Stay tuned.
We're still with the front page of some of the papers we brought for you this morning, and I'm with the Vanguard newspaper at this moment. Banks borrowing from CBN skyrocket by 458% to 57.5 trillion naira. That's on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. And 72 hours after adoption, phase 28. Federal government opts for duty-free imports of rice, beans, with other. That's on page 5, and the writer says it will impact on inflation. This is coming from Nakasima. Okay, a step in the right direction. It says CPPE and Farmer Action Aid Boss reacts. You want to know their reaction on what each of these organizations have to say to federal government's move. Do well to flip over to page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. And away from that, court bars Rivers Chief Justice Clark. NNPCL blames logistics flooding as petrol queues grow longer. And Team Nigeria ready to soar at Paris Olympics. That's on sports page 30. That's the very much I can take. Well, do have to pick a copy of the Vanguard newspaper for this morning to get details of all this.
All right, thank you so much. 150-day duty-free 1,000 metric tons of maize with orders to tackle inflation. The second rider says may suspend duties, tariff, taxes for importation through land, sea borders. Nasima disclosed. Hails federal government decision, details in public space not yet formally released, according to presidency. Others can be found on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. Flawed. NEMA deploys officers to reinforce search rescue nationwide. NIMET predicts thunderstorms rain across Nigeria. It on page 3. With increased monthly allocations, states should abide by new minimum wage when legislated. Apabio says this on page 7. Zenith Bank wins Best Commercial Bank, Best Corporate Governance Award. It's on page 6. We'll get to know that. Dog eats flesh of girl's head, attacks owner trying to protect victim in Ibadan. It's on page 36. Onondo Gubal, crisis brews in PDP over composition of campaign council. It's on page 16. Contractor admin Dentro Shashi Akute Road must complete job in 2 weeks. Dapo Abiodun says. It's on page 6. Police arrest man who climbed 120 feet mast to commit suicide over hardship. It's on page 26. On politics, court bars River CJ Clark from dealing with pro-Wike lawmakers. It's on page 15 with free riders. Pro-Wike lawmakers give Fubara 7 days to represent 2024 budgets. The second rider says Pro-Fubara, beg your pardon, Pro-Fubara Assembly screens confirms Commissioner designates. What the last rider says, police license over suspects behind explosion baffling. Governor discloses. And that's all I have on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this Tuesday morning.
The final paper for the 4 segments of the Morning Rush is the Daily Trust newspaper. And on its front page, it says NPC proposes November 2024 for national census. And that's on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. The Sultan and Sultan and SCIA cautions political leaders against Muslim traditional rulers. That's on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Again, bandit attack and kill 1, adopt 22 in Katsina. Now to the main story. The headline says pressure mounts on federal government to release Nnamdi Kanu. The writer says only one option available after political agreement, says Yadudu. That's on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. The federal government plans waivers on rights with others. You have to pick a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper. And now to other stories. This one says Nigerian content creators eye Facebook's 150,000 naira per 10,000 views. That's on page 26. Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi clocked 100. That's a great milestone. That's on page 34. And man climbs max, threatens suicide over hardship. That's on page 10. And that's all there is apart from the statistics on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. You want to know details of this infographic, do well to pick a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper. Right now, we would have to go on a break. Yes, we'd have to go on a break. But when we come back, that is when we will be reading to you this story, some of the stories that will give you their headlines. And that is when you also can lend your thoughts. Tell us what you think about what is happening so far, so good in Nigeria. The number to call is 090-5696-9961. You can call us and a message to that number, or you can head over to our Facebook page because we are live on Facebook at Erie 96.1 FM Ibadan. We'll take a break right now. When we come back, the Morning Rush continues.
Erie 96.1 FM. We are the king.
This is your man Flo Rida.
What's happening? This is your homie Plies, man.
Hey, yo, what's poppin', man? It's your boy Bow Weezy, man. Check it out.
This is Ed Sheeran.
Hi, I'm Charlie Puth.
Hi, this is Paul McCartney.
Your systems are offline.
Tune in to Erie 96.1 FM, the majestic station that rules the sound waves. Join us.
Feeling stuck? Need a boost of inspiration? Look no further. The dew of motivation is here. You are listening to Erie 96.1,
Your favorite radio station for non-stop classics.
We are the king.
You are locked into Erie 96.1 FM, the majestic station that rules the sound waves.
In the heart of Africa, where the sun's golden rays illuminate the vast landscape, a kingdom of pride and heritage awaits. Live, where the spirit of kingship echoes through the ages. Discover the majestic allure of being a king. This is Erie 96.1 FM. We are the king.
Welcome back from that break, and the time we'll give you details of the headlines we read to you. And while we're saying this, our analyst walked in person of Dr. ABIMBOLA AMOO. Good morning, Dr. ABIMBOLA.
Good morning, Nigerians. I'm happy to be with you all.
It's our pleasure to have you in the studio of Erie 96.1 FM.
It's also my greatest pleasure being here.
As you all know, information is power, so we need to be updated so as not to be outdated. Are we ready for today's business?
Always ready.
All right, we kick starting with a story making the round on the Punch newspaper, talking about how federal government suspends food import duty, partner states on farming. The story reads, the federal government on Monday announced a 150-day duty-free import window for food commodities as a stepped-up effort to tackle rising inflation, which had improvised many Nigerians. The government also expressed its decision to collaborate with states to expand land cultivation across the country. Consequently, the government suspended duties, tariffs, and taxes for the importation of certain food commodities through land and sea borders. Among other things, the latest directive is expected to reduce demand for forex by food importers. In 2023, Nigerians spent $2.13 billion to import food items from foreign countries. The quarterly statistics of the Central Bank of Nigeria showed that the country exported large amounts of food from foreign countries, despite being touted as the food basket of Africa. The high food import bill is a concern for the government. The country has a large agricultural sector, and there have been efforts to boost local production to reduce the dependence on food imports. However, factors such as inadequate infrastructure, insecurity, and climate change have hindered progress in the sector. The story says a federal government suspend food imports duties, partner states on farming. In case you're interested in our food story, you can pick the Punch newspaper this morning. Doctor, once again, good morning.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Yeah, we are talking about how government launches 5 months duty-free import window for maize, rice, wheat, and others. As you all know, Nigeria is the food basket of the nation, the giant of Africa. What will be your reaction to this? Federal government to partner governors, military to cultivate arable land, support smallholders, farmers.
Cultivation is beyond just a word of mouth. It has a lot of things that is embedded in cultivation. As you have rightly said, the security, is it in place? Availability of land, is it in place? Then the policy that drives in proper cultivation of land, and do we even have the number or the data about what we are going to cultivate? Who are going to cultivate it? Is it not going to be political again? What extent are we cultivating? What are we cultivating for? Is it for livestock production? Is it for our domestic use? Or is it for exportation? There's a vast thing that we have to look into. When the government suspends importation duty, it is just to bring in food for some time so that it will cushion the burden on the Nigerians, just to cushion the burden. It has never gotten to the extent that the realities of what production should be. The reality of what production should be is that exports should be based on the productivity. there should be some level of Nigerians that will be producing. And what are we to produce? To what extent are we producing? Who are we producing for? Are we producing for the raw materials? Are we producing for human consumption? Are we producing for livestock? What exactly are we producing for? We should have a data or realistic data. Not the fact remains that the future is now. The future we are talking about is now. Because the reality is that if we don't do it right, nothing can be done. If we don't do it right, and we are ready to do it right, this is more than just policies. It is more than just government suspending importation. When you suspend importation and we are not producing locally, it is only when you can be able to produce locally that you can suppress the importation level. And with the level of time that is given, we can't meet up. State governors, how many state governments have the data of who are not employed? Then, if they have the data of who are not employed, who are ready to go into production, what level of production are they going to?
It's a good thing you mentioned state governments, because oftentimes when we talk about production and agriculture, sometimes the focus is usually on the federal government. Let's bring it down to the state level. Do you think the governors are doing well enough for their states? I know there was a time Lagos State had a partnership with a northern state in terms of production. Do you think state government, Kebbi, thank you, Mrs. Sejorita, for the clarification. With Kebbi, Lagos has a partnership with Kebbi. Do you think, for example, Oyo State, let's bring it down home, is doing enough to ensure food security production for Oyo residents? Let us look at federal government right now. Let us look at bringing it back home.
The fact remains that if we want to be realistic, the nation, we are having a vast resources. It is because we are having too much resources. That is why we cannot maintain what we are having. The point in time that we can strategize what we are having, Lagos State cannot produce what Lagos State is eating. We all know that. Lagos State is having more than enough resources to produce what they should eat. That's the reality. If Lagos State can sponsor 5 states in the north, but there is this problem, insecurity. There is this problem, availability of resources. There is this problem, political influence. There is this problem, who to monitor and to govern these resources. Are we not making it political again? Agriculture can never be made political. It can never. You cannot succeed when you are making agriculture political. You can never succeed, because you have to have passion for it. Doctor, you have to have passion for productivity.
Doctor,
that's one.
Doctor, sorry to cut you short. We have different factors affecting this problem of food crisis in Nigeria. We have inadequate infrastructure, insecurity, and climate change. But let's look at this from this point of view. Different strokes for different folks. We have this quarterly statistics from the Central Bank of Nigeria that shows the country has exported large amounts of food from foreign countries, despite being touted as the food basket of Africa. Your reaction to that quick one?
The fact remains that we shall continue in such a manner, because our policies, our orientation is not real.
Okay.
It's never real.
Okay.
The fact is that if we want to be making, if we want to start making it real, we have to start from agriculture. Because agriculture is not a profession, it's a passion.
Okay.
And not just a passion, it's a passion for profession. Agriculture has to do with somebody that's having interest, professionalized and educated, and there's always an innovative development. It stages. It's not because when the federal government want to partner with the state, they want to partner with the state on what? Is it on production? Is it on bringing in people that want to produce? If you go to the northern area of Nigeria, there are vast land there that is followed. But what are we doing about the land? Each sector of our land has what it can produce.
Okay. Would have to, but you haven't answered my question. The question is: are the state governments, are they doing enough for agriculture for their states? Are they doing a yes or no? A yes or no?
The fact remains that the state government depending on the state. Your state is trying, but the fact remains that the policy that the government has put in place has not reached every nooks and cranny of the state.
Okay, that's a good way to end that conversation. Let's just
Before I end that conversation, I need to deal with that story. The headline says 150-day duty-free import duty window for food commodity. That 150-day we are targeting, it's a bone of contention now. Suspension of duties, tariffs and taxes for the importation of certain food. 50-day duty-free import window for food commodities. How will this bring repute effects to eradication and ameliorating of poverty?
We produce? Are we having the required data of what we have to produce? What are we targeting in 150 days? What exactly are we targeting in 150 days? What vast of production are we targeting? Is it rice production? Is it maize production? Is it wheat production? Are we targeting for export or domestic use? We are not realistic. The fact is that we are not realistic in Nigeria. Until we are ready to be realistic, that is when we can have policies that will work.
Okay.
All right, thank you so very much. 09056969961. It's a situation report on how government launches 5-month duty-free import window for maize, rice, wheat, and others. Let's have your own mind. Let's have your own thoughts about that.
Okay, I'm moving straight to River State. Now we're in River State for a long time now. Rivers has been in the news. So this is coming from the Nation newspaper, and it says Rivers crisis deepens. AMOO led lawmakers issue governor 7 days ultimatum. Fubara inaugurates ESCO members cleared by Okojumbo. 2 others. Okay, let me just go straight to the story. The River State crisis deepened yesterday to represent this year's budget office sanctions. The Okojumbo-led 3 lawmakers sitting at the government house screened and cleared Mr. Emmanuel Onyegiwe Ofori Frank Fubara, who was swiftly sworn in as finance commissioner by Governor Fubara. Okay, we have a call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Rush.
This is Comrade Olatunbosun Alao calling from Jubilee, Nigeria.
Thank you, sir. Comrade, welcome.
God bless you.
And the national resources. Who claims to be in power? Who claims to be in authority? Who claims to be at the helm of authority? River State has been a state that we all know is one of the greatest states of this federation. River State produces what all Nigerians are eating out of. But it's not the River State that is producing it. It is a conglomerate of all we are having problem with in River State. But no, it's a game of power. It depends on how you can motivate people to accept what you are having, to accept your realities, to accept your own feelings. Legislatures and 11 will impeach a governor. So what are you talking about that? Can 11 impeach 30? And here is a time that we are talking about 3 to 27. It's beyond that. Policy is beyond number. Policy is a strategy. Policy is to make power belonging to you and to make the environment suitable for you. That's all it takes. Everything that we are facing in Nigeria, it's a tantamount to political situation that we are having.
So the question still remains: do you think Governor Fubara would represent the bill? Do you think he's going to? We have to answer these questions. What's your forecast? Okay, what do you predict? Do you think he would acknowledge?
The fact remains that before a governor should acknowledge a deal, there should be some factors. If the factor pays the state and its political associates and the godfather governor accepting a bill, we digest it and we take it to the people that are involved, and they are the ones that will tell him this is good, this is where you should not attend.
In this old circle.
May I say this? It has happened even in the north. The incumbent having prejudice, having what you believe should be right, and there may be contradiction. There may be. So it depends on how we value our judicial settings and how effective and our judicial settings can be. How our judicial setting can work together so that we have an harmonized system of government in the nation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. ABIMBOLA AMOO. And, contributes as well. 090-5696-9961. That's the number to call. Or you can head over to our Facebook page at Erie 96.1 FM. We have a call coming through. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, this is Miriam. I'm calling from Odejai.
Miriam, good morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
As much as I believe that the
Hello, good morning. Go ahead. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, please go ahead. Now we can hear you.
But I believe local and others with sophisticated weapons to tackle insecurity government. I want to be trying to realize.
River State, it's on its own. River State can make and managed effectively.
Our nation. I want you to dissect that. Can you
Before we go into that, I think our time has been fast spent.
Just less than a minute. Just enlighten us. What made you
River
say
State
such?
River State has one of the major resources that the nation is drilling on.
Okay.
And that is why, if there is crisis in River State, it's like crisis in Lagos State. River State has our natural resources embedded. Okay. Lagos State has our seaports, our airports, and our land borders.
Okay.
So it's a great thing.
Okay, that's.
The story reads. Now, the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) yesterday in Abuja asked the National Assembly to work with the tripartite committee on the new minimum wage to establish mechanism for regular and systematic review of wage levels to ensure they keep pace with inflation and cost of living. President of NLC Joe Ajaero made the call in a goodwill message delivered at the National Retreat on Labour Reforms and the request for a living wage in Nigeria, tagged a focus on legislative infestations, organized by the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies (NILDS) in Abuja. Ajaero urged the lawmakers to review and update our labor laws to reflect the realities of today's economy and protect our people. Let's pick that call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I wish everyone from if they do beyond their capacity, that means they feel they are asking that aspect. So that's my only request.
Minimum wage or maximizing wages. No. What we need is to make the nation accessible, to make living affordable, to make us be healthy, so that we not live as a slave in our own land. It's not about the how much are we earning. No, economy is not based on how much we are earning. Economy is based on what we are earning and can sustain us. If you are earning just 1,000 naira per workforce, and it can sustain you for 30 days with interest, with every active, your social environment is very, very good. There's provision for your food needs, there's provision for your health needs, and things like that. It's better than having 1 million naira and you cannot be able to sustain yourself. The fact remains that if we are not ready to face reality, reality will not come by itself. It's we, the Nigerians, that is our problem. We don't have any external problem. The policy is created by us. The policy that we are using to guard against us is created by us. It's not created by the Western world. No, it's not the colonial master that created all these policies that they are using to govern us. No, it is we that decided that there should be class. There should be some set of people who will live above reality. There should be some set of people who will live below reality, and there should be some set of people who will never attain reality. Because with the policy we are having in this nation, some people can never attain reality. They can't. Because in a situation where somebody is not having access to $1 per day, $1, he cannot have access to $1 per day, and somebody can spend up to $20,000, $50,000 a day. Are the two are they the same?
To that.
Well, the fact remains that the workers, the civil servants, as it is rightly said, they aren't beggars, but are they doing it right? And the workers themselves, are they doing it right? Are they not the ones who do those? We are not going anywhere.
I think the conversation keeps on moving. We have to go. But before we go, just a quick one. This will be my final story for today. Talking about what happened. Well, let me just read it out to you. Man arrested for attempted suicide in Abuja. The Federal Capital Territory Police Public Relations Officer, SP Josephine Ade, explained that following a distress call from concerned citizens about a young man who climbed a very high mast with a placard at Asor Radio in Kantakwe at about 9:10 a.m., the operative of the FCT Police Command swiftly mobilized to the situation, and with much professional persuasion from police operatives, the man later identified as Shaibu Alhaji Yusau was prevented from taking his life. He claimed to have been observing the marks for about a week before deciding to climb. The man said he gave his reason for taking such action. And he held he held us, the whole nation, he held us on hold for a while when the news broke out. What do you think? I mean, is not as I don't know how to put this question. Have we gotten to that stage?
We are.
Nigerians have to go to the extreme to protest.
We have gotten beyond that extent. That's the reality. Those are the reality we are talking